And look, what happens is, I'm trying to choose my words carefully here. Once there is a tangible item of evidence, like Brandon Aiyuk unfollowing the 49ers on social media.
Right.
That is when you will see people who are actually reporters, people who want to be reporters, people who are pretending to be reporters, random bot accounts. They feel like bot accounts, but I guess they're not. That's when people start chiming in and trying to push it to the next level. And there was, from one of these, who the fook is that guy, to quote, what's his name? Conor McGregor. One of these, like, I don't know who this person is, but here's a post on X. The item came out yesterday, and it says as follows: Brandon Aiyuk, guy named John Frisella. John, I don't know you, but maybe I do now, and maybe that was your goal. If so, congratulations. Brandon Aiyuk has officially requested a trade from the 49ers per confirmation from my San Francisco source. See, when I see something phrased that way, Chris, all due respect to this guy, that's just not the way that's not the way.
It's not even the way you would say it. Right, exactly.
It's not the way you would say it.
Right.
It's like, this is my approximation based upon
per
what I've
confirmation
read.
from my San Francisco source that's under the radar confirming this is the source.
But, it's like when in Rome. Like, if you want to be taken remotely seriously, you have to at least use lingo that feels like the stuff you see from the people who actually do it. And for all I know, this guy is right on the money. We're going to talk more about what he had to report, because when you click on the Show More button, and we're getting to Ryan Williams, and you'll see at the top of the screen what he said. Ryan Williams represents Brandon Aiyuk, so we'll get to that. I want to explore the rest of what John Frisella has said. As of Sunday morning, April 14, the Steelers have been the most aggressive in pursuing a trade for Aiyuk, with the Ravens also expressing interest. Now, I can tell you this, because I had another reason last night to scratch on this a little bit and try to get some information. The Steelers haven't been aggressive lately. The Steelers might have made a phone call 6 or 7 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we're told he's not available, and that was that. Now, that might change in the coming days now that Brandon Aiyuk has unfollowed the 49ers.
Right.
It might prompt another phone call. Hey, is your guy still unavailable or no? But my understanding is the 49ers received a communication from the Steelers 6 or 7 weeks ago, and they said he's not available. So to say the Steelers have been the most aggressive in pursuing a trade, that's not true. A phone call was made 6 or 7 weeks ago. Is your guy available? No, he's not. End of conversation. No further conversations since then.
Very
aggressive. So that part's just wrong.
Right.
That part's just wrong.
Right.
Just flat out wrong. Confirmed it last night, 100%. Trust my source. Without a doubt, a call was made 6 or 7
that
weeks ago.
That was per
confirmed
available. Sources? You got that?
That was. Let me get it right. One in Rome. Let me get it right. The Pittsburgh Steelers have not been aggressive in pursuing a trade for Brandon Aiyuk per confirmation from my San Francisco or Pittsburgh or elsewhere source. I don't want to out my source, so I'm going to keep it very general. All right. Now, this all prompted the response from Ryan Williams, the agent for Brandon Aiyuk. You saw it earlier on the screen. They can put it back up. You need better sources. And technically, he's right, because this guy is kind of wrong pew, but maybe the right church. Because what happens is, as you know, I don't need to recite our credentials or anything, but everybody with every team, everybody in any position of power is reading PFT all the time. It's a fact. It's just a fact. I know that the haters out there don't want to hear it, or they think I'm blowing my baby. Chris, it's a fact. So when a story like this gets posted, I hear from people who know things, who say, I'm not so sure that denial from the agent is 100% accurate. And I'm still working this, but I got reason to think that there's some stuff going on.
Yes, right.
Something's going on. Now, John Frisella, with his per confirmation from my San Francisco source, right church, wrong pew. And it's easy to say you need better sources if you're in the wrong pew. But, and this is where I give John Frisella a little bit of a bouquet. He's on to something. Even though it's clumsy and it's clunky and it's technically inaccurate for reasons we've already discussed, he's on to something. because something is going on. Now, obviously, Brandon Aiyuk has unfollowed the 49ers. Something is going on. But stay tuned as we approach the draft because there is something happening. I don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
The Steelers are not aggressively pursuing a trade. And I don't know if the Ravens have expressed interest, but
it would make sense.
There is something going on.
Yeah.
There is something going on.
It would make sense for both of those teams to be interested. It would be. I mean, again, it's like, hey, well, we talk about it all the time. They both need receivers, right? Let's try to get one right now that's a proven commodity instead of like, oh, we're going to go in the draft and we hope we hit it right or get the guys that are left that we like. So that I understand, right? We know the Steelers are definitely a little low on top receiving options as is anyways there right now. And Baltimore's probably a little worried in the fact that they got a pretty good group, right? It's Zay Flowers, it's Nelson Aguilar, right? But Rashad Bateman,
every time I hear that guy's name, I think of catching babies.
But Rashad Bateman can't stay healthy. He's one of those guys that's got to evaluate himself. So they're looking for that. But I think, again, Mike, I'm not shocked to hear this or think that's going on. Again, it's one of those where it has the feel of a little bit like kind of what I was saying last week. A little bit of the team maybe going, hey, go out there and see what's out there then. If you don't like our offer, here it is. And then the agent and the player are kind of trying to, hey, they don't want to make it look like, hey, we definitely want to leave town and we don't like the Niners. So they're trying to, massage the effort here and still make the player look good. But like by all due accounts, or to my, what my pasta and meatballs tell me, as far as like, is Brandon Aiyuk out there and his agent searching a little bit, feeling what maybe they could get and the Niners could get and what their contract? I think definitely. I think it's the right thing for the 49ers to do, to kind of appeal or appease his appetite for what he thinks he's supposed to get. Back to our A.J. Brown conversation. Again, a lot of these guys are asking for A.J. Brown money, and I think these teams are going, you're not A.J. Brown. Welcome to you're not A.J. Brown. And A.J. Brown got a 16 pick in the draft, and that team was like, we'll pay him top of the market money. And I think that's what these teams got to do, CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys is included, to go show me somebody else out there that's going to give you that, and then we'll start to think about that on our own end.
So, to the extent that John Frisella Football said Brandon Aiyuk has officially requested a trade from the 49ers per confirmation from my San Francisco source, that's false. He hasn't asked for a trade. But, Chris, I was touching my nose a couple of times while you were saying what you were saying.
I know, yeah.
The truth of the matter very well may be that this process has commenced of Aiyuk's agent having the ability to contact other teams.
Exactly.
And find out whether or not there's even any interest in doing a deal.
Right.
I mentioned T. Higgins earlier. We talked about him.
Yes.
When it came out that he wanted out of Cincinnati, nobody called the Bengals. So if we're going to use this as some sort of a litmus test to figure out what Brandon Aiyuk is worth in the eyes of other teams so he can set his value and his expectations as it relates to the 49ers, this is how you do it. It's very discreet. It's not, I've demanded a trade, because at the end of the day, you're going to be staying put. And Deebo Samuel had to push it to the point where, he's doing this. There's this sign. Deebo Samuel will be a 49er this year, and he's doing this in the club. Like, Aiyuk apparently doesn't want to push it to that level yet. Maybe he will. But for now, there is an exploration happening. And I think what it will do, Chris, is a practical matter. There's enough smoke right now that I predict at some point this week the Steelers will pick up the phone and they'll call the 49ers and say, has your situation changed?
I think so.
Have your circumstances been altered to the point where there's a reason for us to have a conversation?
Yeah, I would expect the Niners phone to start ringing this week, right? I think this is the weekend that just went by where teams are starting to, fortify and figure out their draft plans a little bit and figure out, wait, we're here, we need this. We actually might not get what we want here. Oh, no, right? They're starting to get a better feel for that. It's all coming together in a lot of these front offices as far as in that manner over the next 10 to 12 days before the draft, to where now these teams that go, man, we might be in a spot where we can't get a receiver that helps us. ooh, who can we call out there that maybe can, help us out and trade us a wide receiver that makes sense. So that's where I would expect Aiyuk to happen. The big thing to me, and again, I have no knowledge of this, is just what is Aiyuk asking for, right? What is it asking for? If he's asking for top tier in the market type of money, I have a hard time believing he's going to get that done, right? But that's what I feel like's being asked, so just in my heart there. And then, gosh, if he's asking for 17 or 18 million a year, I feel like the 49ers would probably pay him that. I mean, we know the Niners and Shanahan like Brandon Aiyuk. That's for sure. But there's obviously a difference in what the value of the player is at right now between the two.
I think he's got every right to ask for what Deebo Samuel is.
I hear you there. Right.
And look at our article for what he's actually getting. That's the key.
Yeah.
And regardless, at the end of the day, it will look better. That's what it does. Brandon Aiyuk's new contract will look better than whatever it is. But when you compare apples to apples, I think he wants to compare himself to Deebo Samuel. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.